first time, so I brought cheat cards. Sorry. I want to make sure I get everything right. My name is Bob McDonald. Our son, Tim, graduated this past year from the Merchant Marine Academy. He's now with the 7th Fleet with the Military Sealift Command out with the Navy. He's in the Western Pacific, and I believe he's on his way or is in Korea right now. He's a civilian. We're the only one of the 5 academies up here where the young men and women graduate as civilians, but they also hold a reserve rank for 8 years with the Armed Services, usually the Navy. And that's why our midshipman is called a midshipman. He'd otherwise be a Sea Cadet. He is a reserve officer in the Naval Reserves in training. So when he graduates, he'll be commissioned. And that's why our covers look very similar to the Navy's covers. They just have a different emblem on them because we're different service. To give you a little history, I know there's parents out here and young people who don't have a clue what a merchant marine is. So I'm going to give you the answer because I was there 6 years ago, 5 years ago, trying to remember what it is. Okay, we run all the commercial ships with the U.S. flag on it. The word merchant is just what it is. It's commerce, it's business. We run the business of ships that are privately owned. Marine, I got to give you the dictionary definition because you're already messed up in your head thinking Marine Corps. The word marine by itself means related to the ocean or the sea. It's anything like that. So when you mix the two words, it's commerce and men and women that work on the sea. That's a merchant marine. We're part of the Department of Transportation. So to give you an idea of what we do with these big ships, if you own a foreign car from Europe and came over on a ship, our guys from the United States take American cars to Europe. And that's what they do. That's the commercial side. They bring the corn down from the Midwest to New Orleans, and they bring salt up from New Orleans to the Midwest and put on our roads for the winter. And that's what they do with the state side. They also serve with the military, as my son. Let me explain that one. The Defense Department owns and leases private ships. They also own their own ships. Some of those ships are run by the Navy and owned under the Navy. My son is on a Navy ship called the Carl Bouchard. It's a supply ship for the Navy. It supplies the ships among the 7th Fleet. He's on board as an officer. He's called a 3rd mate. That's the difference, though. Let me go over that real quick. There's 2 different officers on a civilian ship. They're called mates and engineers. The mates work the bridge. They navigate the ship. They work the logistics of cargoes on and off the ship. The engineers work below deck to take care of all the engines and any hydraulics, electrical, or any systems on board the ship. They maintain the ship. You don't call AAA when you have a problem on the ship. And that's why we have guys trained and they're engineers. And the midshipman we have with us today is an engineer. So you have 3rd engineers and 3rd mates. We only have, I think, 4 grades in the Merchant Marines. It's 3rd mate, 2nd mate, 1st mate, and then you have the ship's master, who would be a captain in the military. And then you have below deck, you have the 3rd engineer, the 2nd engineer, the 1st engineer, and a chief engineer, if I have it right. And that's how quick the officers, there's not as many officer rankings in the civilian part. Let's see what else I have. The campus. When you go to the campus, it's 82 acres. It's in Kings Point, New York, Long Island. You take a bus and a train, the Long Island train, and in 45 minutes you're at Times Square in New York City. Our arch rival is the Coast Guard Academy. They're across the Long Island Sound from us in Connecticut. Both of our schools are unique in the fact that we only have 1,000 students. And we're both Division III schools, so you can play any sport you want. And you can just walk out. You don't have to qualify for sport. We also have sport clubs, as the other academies have mentioned. So if you want to play golf, that's a club. If you want to play football, you're playing it with NCAA Division III. The other thing I wanted to mention is we're a little different in education because when you go, there's only so many majors, and all the majors are going to be for a bachelor's in science. We don't have humanities. We have courses you'll take in humanities. You can't major in humanities. You're going to get a bachelor's in science degree. And you're going to get it in 3 years, even though you're going for 4. Because we're on trimesters. We're not on semesters. So you're wondering why we're on trimesters? Because we have what we call a C year. You go out during your 2nd year, or your 3rd class year, your sophomore year, and you spend 4 months at sea. You will travel around the world on ships and learn how to actually work a ship. You'll come back and do your junior year for 4 months, and then go back out again for 8 months. So you'll spend 2 of your trimesters at sea in your junior year, traveling the world. Most of our students probably travel between 15 to 22 countries or ports in that year, and you get paid while you're at sea. You'll come back and you can make your decision on what you want to do. This is what you've got to listen to right now, because this is the key difference in our school. We're civilian. We allow you to decide you don't want to be a civilian. You want to be active duty in one of these other militaries. You can go to the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Army, the Navy, and a Marine Corps. And you will be mentored. We actually have people from the other armed forces on our campus that will mentor you, so that upon graduation, you will graduate in the uniform of your choice. So you won't have to graduate as a Merchant Marine from the Merchant Marine Academy. You can graduate and go to the Army as a 2nd lieutenant, to the Air Force as a 2nd lieutenant, and so forth. So you can make that decision at 21. And it does give you a little leeway if you change your mind and you don't like being out at sea. You can get a land job. You can also transfer and become for a pilot's position with the Army, the Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Air Force. Because of our engineering backgrounds, you get a strength where you can go into a pilot program. If you qualify, they will take you. Let's see if I've covered everything. I hope I have. I think I have. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce, at this time, El Sagat, Midshipman First Class, United States Merchant Marine Academy.